Hey, it's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Welcome to another edition of Q&A with the Coach. Today we have a question from Darren Chan who says, weird question, oh good. I love me some weird questions, Darren says. If you had superpowers such as strength, durability, etc., does that permit the art of more reckless fighting techniques, as often seen by many heroes and protagonists in movies and animations, and probably comic books? Who would fare better, a Superman pro fighter who opts for more reckless techniques, or a Superman pro fighter who keeps it safe? In your Thanos versus the Hulk review, we can see Hulk fighting more wildly and recklessly compared to Thanos, but even Thanos chooses a couple of techniques that are a bit more risky, but is passable due to his super strength. Okay, I love this question, man. Let's nerd out on comic book speculation for a little bit. Now, of course, in that fight between Thanos and the Hulk, Thanos is a much stronger character than the Hulk. If you look at the Marvel Power Grid encyclopedia of nerddom, you can see Thanos is objectively stronger than the Hulk. And so he is able to manhandle the Hulk, but he's also a much more skilled and calculated and careful and technical fighter than the Hulk, whereas the Hulk is just pure aggression. He's big and he's strong and he likes to smash things, right? And against people who are weaker than him, that works just fine. But when you have an opponent like Thanos, who is technically and physically superior, the Hulk basically stands no chance. All right, let's talk about Spider-Man for a minute. Particularly Ultimate Spider-Man. Did you guys read that one? Back in the day, it was a reboot of the Marvel, what is it, the 626, 616, I don't remember, the main Marvel universe, right? They rebooted that and started a alternate Marvel universe called the Ultimate Universe, where Spider-Man was in high school again, and he gets his powers not from a radioactive spider like the original Peter Parker did, but from a genetically modified spider. And he goes out and fights crime, and it's similar but importantly different. And this one focuses largely around Peter Parker in high school, as opposed to in the original where they allowed Peter Parker to grow up and he became an actual man, as opposed to Spider-Boy. You know, he was an actual Spider-Man and had quite an interesting life. Okay. But there was this issue, I don't remember which one. Super nerds in the comments, please let me know. I'm interested in looking this up. I have, all my comics are in a storage unit in the United States right now. I had quite a few, including the entire run of Ultimate Spider-Man. Anyway, so Ultimate Spider-Man is having run-ins with bad guys, super villains, on a regular basis, and he's getting his butt kicked a lot. But he's surviving because he's got these superpowers. He's got durability, he's got super strength, he's really fast, he's able to get away with a bunch of silly nonsense that a normal person would not because of his powers. Spider-Man can move in ways that normal people can't. He can withstand pressures that normal people can't. He can do things that would get other people killed, but because of his powers, he's able to do them, right? And he's having this conversation with Mary Jane, his girlfriend at the time, and he's bruised up, he's beaten. She's sewing his costume back together because it's been shredded. And he says something along the lines of, maybe I should take a Jiu-Jitsu class. Yeah, Spider-Man is seriously thinking about taking a Jiu-Jitsu class. He's thinking, because these villains, they're just as strong as me, and I'm getting beaten up. And yeah, I know I heal faster than the average person. I'm tough. I can take these licks, but I don't like it. Maybe I should start training. And when I read that, I was like, ooh, this will be really interesting. Because the original 626 Spider-Man, he learned how to fight through experience. And so, the original Spider-Man has this weird fighting style. You see him, he's flipping all over, doing all this crazy gymnastics, upside down stuff that would make the world's greatest capoeira guy envious because of his powers. And no real human would ever be able to fight like that. Not effectively anyway, but Spider-Man, because of his powers, can do all this goofy stuff, right? And I was thinking, man, what if Ultimate Spider-Man does take Jiu-Jitsu? Ooh, that would be really interesting, especially if this was a story written and illustrated by people who also did Jiu-Jitsu, by people who understood martial arts like really well. But then he just blows it off. Yeah, not going to do that. And then he doesn't. Like a lot of young teenagers who think they're good where they are. They don't need to take a jiu-jitsu class. I'm fine. That's too much work. And I was disappointed. But it left me thinking for a very long time, what if? What if you had a guy with Spider-Man's powers, but he buckled down and he learned jiu-jitsu and he learned boxing and he learned Muay Thai and he excelled at all these other martial arts? If you look at Captain America, comic book Captain America, not movie Captain America, because in movie Captain America they kind of abbreviated everything about him. But in the comics, Captain America is a very skilled fighter. He's very skilled at multiple martial arts in a very similar way to DC's Batman. Batman's supposed to know like every martial art and be a black belt in everything. So that's kind of like Captain America's MO as far as hand-to-hand combat. He is a hand-to-hand combat expert. Now his power set is pretty much on the low end. He's significantly stronger than real people are. He's significantly stronger than the average person. He heals significantly faster than the average person, but his power set is not on the level of Spider-Man. But his skill set, is far above that of Spider-Man. And Spider-Man in the comics highly respects the skill set of Captain America, even though Captain America is not nearly as physically strong as the web-slinger, right? So if you had a Spider-Man, a Peter Parker, that just, learned through experience and developed his goofy acrobatic fighting style by himself that only works because he has his powers, and then put him against a Peter Parker that went and took that jiu-jitsu class and became a skilled MMA fighter, who would win? I would put my money on the trained Peter Parker, right? Because when everybody is super, according to the villain from that movie, The Incredibles, nobody is. So if you had Spider-Man fighting Spider-Man, man, the technically superior Spider-Man would win. And hey, wait a minute. Remember when they wrote The Superior Spider-Man, where Dr. Octopus took over Spider-Man's body, and he decided, you know what? I'm going to be Spider-Man now. I'm going to be a superior Spider-Man. Because he saw the way Peter Parker was running his life, and he was like, oh man, this guy's a mess. He has all of these opportunities, he has all this potential, and he squanders a lot of it. If I had this, Dr. Octopus, the villain, is thinking, if I had these opportunities, if I had this body, if I had this power set, if I had this and this, I would have gone so much farther than he did. And so Dr. Octopus, inside of Spider-Man's body, makes it his goal to become the superior Spider-Man. And it's really interesting. Like a lot of comic book fans, I got mad and hated it at first. Like, oh, they killed off Peter Parker again. They'll bring him back, though. But the run of Superior Spider-Man really was very interesting. And it made me think a lot about some students I've trained who were athletically gifted. Especially really, really strong guys. It can be hard to teach really, really strong guys martial arts, because picture this, for those of you who have children and your children try to teach you something, like, hey daddy, let me teach you how to fight, and they walk up and they're like, and they paw at you in the stomach, like, see how good at fighting I am, and you just laugh like, good job little Billy, or whatever your kid's name is. That's what it feels like trying to teach a strongman competitor when you're a normal-sized human being. When you have a giant strongman on the mat with you, and you're trying to teach him, all right, this is how you fight. And they're like, am I doing it right? And they're just like squishing your head with their fingers. And it's like, no, but it's killing me. Stop. Ah. So if you had a guy with Spider-Man's skill set and power in a jiu-jitsu class, man, he would probably accidentally rip people's arms off trying to learn how to do arm bars. So you would have to have like a superhero jiu-jitsu class where you had superhumans with super strength grappling with other superhumans with super strength. The room would get destroyed. It absolutely would. They would just tear it apart and smash the walls and all this stuff. So, my question, as a response to your question, first the answer, yes, the trained Spider-Man would beat the untrained Spider-Man, provided they had comparable real-life fighting experience applying those techniques. But my question to you is, how would Spider-Man actually end up training? Because he couldn't do it with normal humans. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and train.